Hey again, everybody. This is Andy from StarWars.com here at Lucasfilm headquarters. This week we are going behind the scenes of Vision of Hope to talk about the crew's first big disappointment. This is Rebels Recon. Growing stronger with the Force, Ezra is overcome by a sudden mysterious vision.
Your parents were very brave.
The Padawan interprets his premonitions as literal, and as a result leads his friends into a trap.
If you won't talk, then my troopers will become a firing squad.
In the end, Ezra learns to be more cautious and that it's okay to look for the best in people.
What's wrong with us?
We have hope. Hope that things can get better. And they will.
Chris Foy and Joel Aaron's lighting design work can be seen in every second of Star Wars Rebels. In another two-part series, we're going to show you their process.
Lighting is something that needs to be thought of in anything, from the very beginning of a project to the very end of it, no matter how visual or non-visual it is, because we as humans react to shapes. If there's too many shapes, it becomes a little too confusing on what it is we should see.
One of the things that a lighting concept artist does is take a look at all the storyboards and try and find moments that we can represent in color and see if there are ways that we can play up the emotional content in the story. And then in the end, the idea is that we'll have a finished painting that represents that point in the episode as clearly as possible.
It may not be the action that is taking place in the frame. It may not be the words spoken or the expression on a character's face, but it can be the lighting that gives you this mood.
We try and do that with lighting by showing color that will make you feel what the characters are feeling at that moment.
There's no accidental lighting. We don't just turn lights on and put our characters in place. There's a lot of thought that goes into that, as does with major motion pictures.
Working outside the law tends to come with the added threat of betrayal. We're talking about trust, lies, and secrets with cast and crew in this week's Deep Dive. In the first half of the season, Gul Travis seems like he's going to be a really powerful ally for the crew, but that turns out to be a charade. Was it always the intention that he was an Imperial plant, or was that an aspect of his character that developed later on?
It started very early on. I think when the idea of the character came together, the thought was that that dynamic was in place.
I think it goes with this type of rebel plot. You're probably going to have people that betray you in different sides, and we all like the idea of having like this kind of vacuum for Ezra around, not having parents and having somebody that he wouldn't want to kind of put in that role falsely, unfortunately, in a Gul Travis.
The idea of traitorous communications was something that definitely did happen in World War II, where you'd get people using propaganda to that end.
I always find these kind of things interesting because when you work on them, you wonder how much does the audience know or not know or realize. And the crew on Rebels that work on the show would be like, oh my gosh, some fans are onto it from day one. And I'm like, well, of course. That's the whole point, is like we do leave clues. There are little things you can catch as far as what Gul Travis's real intentions are throughout the previous episodes.
From his earliest appearance, when he started leaving that information out about Luminara Unduli being out there, there was already fans wondering whether or not that was a trap in terms of Gul Travis, whether or not he was in on it.
Creating the look for Gul Travis, did you know that he would be part of an Imperial plot?
No. It was fiendishly clever. I had no idea. I was as shocked as everyone else.
So then there's no visual hints whatsoever about
No,
his true
honestly,
nature.
if anything, we just looked at senators, generic senators from the prequels and sort of went, well, what would that be?
The same can be said for, mysterious characters like Fulcrum. There are clues here and there that kind of lead you or distract you or mislead you, because we know people are looking for stuff. So as much as we can put things that direct you in the right way, we can put things that mislead you and send you down the wrong path, and then it's just fun to hear what people are saying online.
Were you aware during those early episodes that he... No clue.
I had no clue, and I was devastated.
Oh.
I really was. So that was not acting. I was really upset.
But I mean, as always, Hera handled it like a boss.
Sure.
Handed him the unloaded blaster.
That's right.
You know? Yeah,
like a boss.
So as you're working on this series, do you find that you are becoming more like her in real life?
Not at all.
You guys had a ton of questions about Idiot's Array. So as always, we tracked down the story group's Pablo Hidalgo for answers.
Okay, Pablo. Brian asks, Lando doesn't have a ship in this episode. Does Idiot's Array take place before he owned the Falcon or after he lost it to Han?
That's a good point, because if Lando had the Falcon, he wouldn't